I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I dumped him, now I want him back.
Oops.
So we're going to be talking about this today because we see this all the time. I know when you're going through it, you don't believe us that your ex could change their mind and want you back. But there are a lot of different reasons why people can end a relationship and then miss that person and want to come back again. Mm-hmm. So real quick, if you do want to get our help personally, you can do that on our website, AskCraig.net. You can sign up for a Skype coaching with me or Coach Victoria. Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her.
Sounds good.
So this is a really interesting email and it gets really complex in a lot of ways. We have a woman in her early 30s that's dating a guy in like his mid 30s. And they've been together for 8 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, they've never been married and they've never lived together, which is kind of shocking. Mm-hmm. You would think after 8 years you'd be at least living together.
Right, and I wonder if there were any goals, if maybe that was something that was talked about, or if it was decided that they wouldn't take those steps.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see what happened. Mm-hmm. She says, we met in college, became friends, and when I moved to the city, he was living. Eventually, we started dating. We had growing pains as most couples do. The main issue that kept us stagnant for so long without movement was because we started out the same religion, and a few years into dating, he started becoming uninterested in religion and eventually agnostic.
Now, she doesn't say which religion that she was part of or that they were part of. So I do think, it's going to be difficult to see, is this a religion that's really traditional, that's, really strict, or is this a religion that is a little bit more lenient, more accepting? Different religions have different practices, different traditions. And
I think it might be the Jedi religion.
Oh.
And so they don't allow any attachment. So attachment is forbidden.
Should have thought of that.
Yeah. We don't know the religion, but those are all great points.
Right, and it does make a difference. And I will say, the time period of them being together for so long, change is expected in a long-term relationship like that. Mm-hmm. And so starting out one way, you think your partner is going to stay the way that they are forever.
That's true.
And so changes can surprise you.
Absolutely. And religion can be a real deal breaker for many people. Some people don't care. Some people, it matters a lot. So let's see what she says. Sharing a religion has been stressed to me throughout my life as very important. I guess she means from her family. It's been stressed on her. Mm-hmm. I kept hoping he would change. However, we both wanted to stay together because we truly loved each other. And to me, at the end of the day, of course there's going to be some deal breakers, but if you really love somebody, you got to do your best to try and work around those things. Sometimes people want to live in different places, or somebody wants kids or doesn't want to have kids, or sometimes, people want to live like maybe more of a party lifestyle and drinking and doing drugs, and people have a problem with that. But you really got to make sure that it's what you want before you end a relationship, because if you don't, you're going to wind up in a lot of pain, both people.
Mm-hmm. And it really is about what works for the both of you. When there are interfaith couples, it's not going to be the same formula that works with other couples.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be an added layer of communication that you're going to need about how to celebrate certain holidays, how to go about certain traditions. Earlier we were talking about this topic and thinking about how much can go into religion, even thinking about marriage and the ceremony itself. Is this going to be a religious ceremony? Is this going to be a more secular wedding? So there's so many decisions to be made that can revolve around religion, and it's just about if you can make it work for the both of you.
Yep. I think it was weighing on her for a long time, and eventually she just said, okay, I have to end this, and felt like it was the right thing to do, but let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
She says, after years of indecision, we broke up in the spring. Okay, so I'm guessing because she put we, it was really her breaking up with him. Originally, I felt instant relief. What do we talk about?
Separation elation.
There you have it. Here we see it, Dumper admitting it. But also pain since we'd been together so long. You see, it's not black and white. Here we have a Dumper having a lot of pain, not really wanting to make this decision, but feeling like she had to do it. We decided to keep in touch and talking at least. It went this way for 3 months, and then he told me he had been in so much pain for that entire time and felt the need to start dating again. And the second I read this in the email, I knew what was coming. That it was going to be regret on her end, because now she's going to really feel that pain of losing him, right? This was extremely painful for me to accept, although I understood. And what choice do you have but to understand that when you're the one that ends the relationship, you know?
Right. And it can be hard because many of you are in this position where your ex does continually reach out, does want that friendship, does still act towards you as if you're still together, even though they called the breakup. So it can be hard to get to the point where you say, for my own mental health and for my own sake, I'm going to need to create some space here. And it seems like that's what's happening.
Yep. He couldn't take it anymore. However, it felt so soon to me. Well, one of the painful things about this situation is, she thinks it's going to go one way after the breakup, but now the rug has kind of been pulled out from under her, and it's a shocking surprise.
Right. And even if she was the one to call the breakup, it doesn't mean that the relationship is going to go the way that she wants it to. Sometimes there can be a difference in power after the breakup. She feels, okay, well, I'm going to be the one to extend an olive branch and keep our relationship going, but your ex has a right to their own boundaries too. So if you're on the other side of a breakup watching this, this is why we talk about no contact so much.
That's right.
Is to create that space to allow your ex to really feel the consequences of their decisions. And
that's right, just like she is.
Right. I think in this moment, he's making a wise choice for himself to step away.
Yeah. And so now she's hurting and regretting things. Let's see what happens. He wanted to remain friends. See, now he's got the power back, right?
Yeah.
Now he's dating somebody new, okay, or going to start dating somebody new. He's going to get that power back, and he's like, no, I want to keep you as a friend. Now it's going to be extremely painful for her. The roles are reversed real quick. He wanted to remain friends as it was important to him to be on good terms with his exes. As he started to date, I began to feel regret about breaking up and struggling to move on. Early in July, I found out he had began to date a person, which really hurt. However, it got me thinking about what was truly important to me, and some conversations I had got me thinking about trying things again, knowing I would have to fully accept him for the person he now was. This is not a surprise to me. Watching her go through this, I could have predicted it, okay? Because this is what happens all the time. You guys that have been broken up with, you don't think your Dumper is hurting. Here we see it, okay? Now, I don't advocate for using jealousy because a lot of times it backfires. This guy wasn't trying to make her jealous. He was genuinely trying to move forward and heal from this. Now, was he dating too soon? Probably, yeah. I mean, after 8 years, he shouldn't be dating that soon afterwards. But he wasn't doing it to make her jealous. This is why we say no contact. No contact is just as powerful, right? And it's the healthy thing to do. Right. Not reaching out and chasing somebody.
What I find interesting here too is that it really was after he started dating someone else that now she's having these important conversations that are making her rethink the decision. She had said that there has been indecision for years before this breakup. And one of my big questions here is, why didn't you have those conversations during that time? You know, you'd think if you're battling with this, oh, my partner is of a different religion than me, I'm not sure how this is going to play out, that you would rely on your support system and gain different perspectives and, you know, think about and talk to and get to know different interfaith couples to see how it can work for other people. So it's just curious to me, the timeline of all of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what happens all the time. You know, people break up with you. They think they're okay with it. They feel at peace at first. In fact, she was elated, got that separation elation, and it quickly went away. But when you're reaching out to your ex, chasing them, contacting them, handwritten letters, clean slate messages, good reminder texts, you name it, it doesn't create this in the dumper. Okay? It doesn't work like that. One therapist friend recommended I tell him my thoughts about a future together, but I hadn't solidified my decision. A few months later, I told him, knowing I hadn't fully decided, but at least he knew my thoughts. He took it well, but told me he was seeing someone that he liked. Now it's like he just reverse Uno'd her, right? Now it's gonna really hurt.
Yeah.
And I've seen this so many times. Okay, things were progressing very quickly, and he did not plan on breaking things off. And if you're a dumper and this happened to you, leave a comment so people know and see this happens a lot.
And I'm really sad that that's the advice that she received. You know, I know that she was coming from a place of wanting to be vulnerable and transparent with him and open up her heart to him to let him know where she was at. But I do think that that did cause her more pain and hurt at the end, you know, instead of having it be a little bit more space and having it be, you know, a mutual conversation about those things.
Yep. We also talked about some concerns we both had with some understanding on both sides. I went to work self-reflecting, soul-searching, talking to a therapist, friends, family, making the decision to try us again, knowing and being okay with a mixed faith relationship. And it would have been a lot easier on both of them had that been figured out before this breakup.
And I will also say that separation anxiety will cause you to rethink even your most fundamental values. Okay, so I think part of what really triggered all of this has been that anxiety of, I have lost this person that has been so close to me. It's making me question everything I know about life, everything I believe about the universe, my faith. And so as she's having these conversations, I would also urge her to think about the future too. You know, if this is a faith that you do plan on continuing to be in, which she did use the word mixed faith relationship, that makes me think that she does plan on staying in her faith, is to think about, you know, maybe right now you're okay with it to be in that same relationship where it's unmarried, not living together, but how would things change if those commitments were also in place?
Sure. And they, you know, these are things that have to really be figured out, like if they're going to be compatible in that way. 2.5 weeks since our conversation, I told him. He was surprised again by the news. He felt anxious because he said if I had come to him a few weeks before, it would have been a no-brainer. But now he was pursuing the other woman. This is not a surprise. These things happen like this all the time. This is why you stay in the no contact. Like, and as we teach it, no reaching out. Okay? Because these are the kind of things a dumper's going to feel. really rethinking things.
Exactly.
All the points that you touched upon, how important these things are. And he was concerned I would back out on it again, potentially, if things were hard.
And I don't blame him. You guys have to realize that when you break up with somebody, that in itself is an attachment wound. That itself can cause a dent into the level of trust that you have with each other.
Yeah.
And so as of now, he's saying, okay, this has already happened once. What happens when, we have children and we're deciding on which religion to raise them in? And what happens when, my family disagrees with something that your family wants for our lives? So there's so many different scenarios where conflicts can come up. And I don't blame him for being skeptical and a little bit hesitant too.
Yeah, I don't either. But now, honestly, he's so excited about the new woman. You don't get that level of excitement like this in this kind of situation, right? Because he's excited about somebody new. It's like all those chemicals are released. The dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin.
And I imagine, too, that the level of pressure is different. Imagine for years that level of indecisiveness that you can sense in your partner.
Sure.
You can sense that your partner wants you to change or wants something different for you or wants you to believe a certain thing. So now he's dating this new girl. Maybe she's not religious at all. Or maybe she is part of the Jedi.
She sounds like a Sith Lord to me.
But maybe she has a different approach towards religion in the relationship. And that might feel refreshing for him. Of course, there's going to be other things that probably aren't there that, were there with his relationship with this person who wrote the email. But, that's in time he will realize.
Let's see what happened. I also wanted to have a few more conversations to find out where each other stood on different topics, and she said currently, to make sure this was something we still wanted. We were able to meet up 2 times after the original conversation to discuss our concerns. Since then, I've told him I'm committed to making it work, and he's told me he loves me still multiple times. He is currently in the process of deciding what he wants, and it has almost been a month. Well, part of the problem here is that now he isn't worried about losing her, and it's all one-sided. So now she's afraid of losing him. He's not worried about afraid of losing her, and he's got another girl he's excited about. We met to talk and been texting daily, but it is starting to wear me down since I know he is dating this girl and he has seemed less engaged. I'm looking forward for your advice and if you would recommend doing no contact at this point. Okay, so I do think she's got to stop the contact with him, because imagine being in his shoes. He's got this new woman he's excited about, and her as this kind of, now she's become like a backup, because he knows he could still have her, but he's excited about somebody new. You want him to feel the loss now, okay? I would tell him, look, I would love to repair things with you, but you're seeing somebody else now. So figure out what you want to do with that, and if it doesn't work out and you're single, give me a call. Maybe I'll still be single. Or something along those lines, where she's putting out, okay, I do want to work this out, but I can't keep having this contact all the time. It's going to be torture for her, and it's not going to allow him to experience the loss of her.
Right, and it can be really scary on your end to say, okay, I'm going to not reach out to my ex, and what if he does get closer with this other girl? And what if they end up running off into the sunset? I have to intervene now.
Yep.
I know sometimes we do get those feelings, but it is really counterintuitive. You have to let him have that experience and see what it's like and learn for himself and gain some insight himself through that relationship. And you also want to show him that you respect his decision. You want to show him that you respect his new relationship.
That's right.
Because I can imagine him being extremely hurt from the breakup, maybe a buildup that's been happening for years, something that he sensed, something that he may have been afraid of for years, coming into reality. And having to deal with that pain, to now be told when he is, experiencing the joy of being single, that, you are taking everything that you have said back.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of information for anyone to process, and he really needs that time to figure out if he can trust you again.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is the rebound isn't likely to last. Those usually don't last very long. And then after it falls apart, I think he's gonna be very likely to reach out in this case. I mean, they've been texting every day already. So make him live with his consequence of, okay, you're choosing the new person, then you get the new person, you don't get me as well. And that's what I would do. I think that he will really reconsider things with her, and they can figure out if they can be together and work through the religious differences. You're never going to line up perfectly with anybody in this world. There's always going to be differences, and part of those differences that we talk about is attachment styles, but there are a lot of different differences that people have to work through. If you really love somebody, if it's not a major deal breaker for you, you got to try and work through it, because if you don't, you usually wind up regretting ending it anyway. If you really love somebody, you got to kind of figure out if it can be fixed or repaired or, negotiated before you walk away.
Right. And in this situation, I'm thinking about that 80-20 rule. I don't know if you all have heard about this before, but basically there can be 20% of your relationship, of something going on in your life that you are unhappy with. But if that 80% is solid, bringing you joy that you're satisfied with, why let go of that 20%? And so in this case, you have to figure out for yourself what type of a value you place on your religion, how much you do want to be involved in your faith or not. You have to decide how much you want to be involved in your faith or not, and how important it is to you. Is this something that you are actually willing to work out with someone else? And I know religion can be one of those more difficult differences in couples, because sometimes a religion will say that you need to be equally yoked with the partner, that your partner needs to be of that same religion. Sometimes a religion will say that if you are not of that religion, that terrible things will happen to you. And so if you have some of those thoughts and mentality and core belief, that's going to be really, really difficult to work with. So some things you have to come to terms with. I would encourage you to continue having these conversations and interact with people who believe different things. See if you can find other interfaith couples and talk with them about what works for them. And I'm sure that there is loads and loads of research on there online to educate yourself more on how people make this work. There are plenty of interfaith couples that are happy, that are healthy, that are successful. And so use those as models and see what works for you. But really, really, really think about it.
Absolutely. I think that if she leaves him alone and lets him experience the loss, it will get him to really reevaluate how important she is to him as well. And so I think both of these people can really realize what the other means to them because of this breakup. But you also can't just, keep reaching out, and so he doesn't feel the loss. Okay, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype, and Coach Victoria is also available to talk with too.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.